All right, we are recording. Thanks everybody for your patience and for getting here. We're going to get started. Like I said before, please ask questions in the question field as they come up. We'll do our best job of answering on the spot. I'm really excited today to welcome Sal Cincotta. Early on, when I was just starting StickyAlbums, I reached out to Sal and was really excited to get his attention, and his excitement over StickyAlbums early on was a huge kind of motivator for me. And things were a little rough around the edges, like any new business. And Sal's mentorship on the photography side, as well, even more so on the business side, has been invaluable for me building StickyAlbums to what it is today. So, Sal, thank you so much for your support over the last year and a half already. I think that people in photography, we can kind of relate. And as I start to mentor other entrepreneurs myself, I've learned that it's safer and it's easier to focus on our product and our service. Like it's more comfortable to go learn like better lighting, which is all stuff we have to do. But it's too easy to forget about the business side or the marketing side of our business. And for a lot of us, it's outside of our personality type. And these type of tips and tricks are so vital because, especially when you have a business in the service industry, you can get worn out, right? Working so hard and shooting so much, where you need to also have other people talking about your business. Otherwise, when you stop for a second, all of a sudden you're not going to have more business coming in. So without further ado, Sal, let's kick it off. Thank you again for joining us, and the stage is yours.
Thanks, Nate. I really do appreciate. I really do appreciate what you're saying. You know, we were talking earlier, and for me, I'm definitely an entrepreneur at heart, and I definitely celebrate entrepreneurship. I think it's one of the best jobs and one of the scariest jobs we can all have. And it doesn't matter whether you're a photographer or you're selling, sneakers or personal training or cupcakes. We're entrepreneurs. That's the common thread. And ultimately, our business will succeed or fail based on consumer dollars, right? We can't blame other people for the success or failure of our business. It is really tough sometimes being an entrepreneur because we have to take that feedback and criticism to heart. So if you're that new photographer, right, you've got different challenges than that photographer who's in business 10, 15, 20 years. Ultimately, we're trying to deliver the same kind of product, right, a quality image, so to speak. But if you're ultimately, the challenges are all the same for us. We've got to market, we've got to create brand awareness, we've got to get our name out there, we've got to establish value for our product, and probably each and every one of us struggles with what? Confidence. We all need to have confidence in our brand so that we can charge the amount of money we're charging for. And that's, for me, the one area when I'm talking to photographers around the world, the one thing they all say is like, or ask, how do you know when to raise your prices? How do you know when you're good enough? I don't know that I could look anyone in the face at this moment in time and still say I feel confident that I'm good enough to charge what we charge. It's something I struggle with still to this day, every day when people come into our studio. Real clients, we do, if you don't know about our studio, we do anywhere, depending on the year, between 45 and 55 weddings a year. We travel worldwide for those weddings, but probably about 75, 80% of them are here in the St. Louis area. And we do probably 60 to 100 seniors, high school seniors as well. Again, just depending on the year, my travel schedule, things like that. So we're constantly trying to innovate and think of new and innovative ways to get our messaging out there. So with that being said, let's get going here.
Awesome.
Just kind of an overview. Did this switch, Nate?
Yep, everything looks good.
So overview, I want to talk a little bit about high-level marketing and advertising, and keep those questions coming in like Nate alluded to. 3 things or more that I think you can start today. And the key is I'm going to try and talk about them from 3 different stages, right? Kind of that newbie, you're an intermediate studio, and you're a more advanced studio. Because the things that I want to see you trying as a newbie, or the challenges as a newbie, I think are somewhat different than that studio who's been in business for 15 years. And I'm learning this through real life, right? As my studio continues to grow and evolve, the challenges I face today are nowhere near the challenges I faced year one. And I'm sure much different than the challenges I'll face in another 5 or 10 years. So I want to talk about those things from 3 different perspectives. How do we prioritize, right? Everybody wants our marketing dollars. There's no shortage of people looking to put their hands on our marketing dollars, whether it's magazines, direct mail, new equipment, you know, cool packaging that we could offer our clients, products we can offer our clients. These are all, make no mistake, marketing efforts. Don't look at the products you offer as anything less than. I mean, they are, in fact, part of your marketing and branding. I want to focus on what's important, right? How do we focus our energy and our attention as a one-man show? Many of us, as photographers, are a one-woman, one-man show. Maybe our spouses are involved in the business with us. Maybe they're not. So where's our support network come from? What's our scalability plan? How do we grow the business? And, of course, some Q&A.
Awesome.
And so I like sharing these stats. I think this goes a little bit to kind of the question you were asking earlier on, Nate, and I think it's just something we have to be aware of. And so I've been showing this for probably the past 6 months wherever I speak, and I just think it's really important. So if you've seen it before, pay attention, because I think it needs to be just burned into your brain. And if you've never seen it, you definitely want to pay attention to this. So University of Tennessee did a study you know, about entrepreneurs and businesses of all kinds. 40% of all businesses fail in the first 2 years. So if you're that new studio just starting out, you don't understand what an uphill battle is ahead of you. And maybe you do understand, right? So as the newbie, you're kind of starting out. And one place I see everybody flounders with pricing, okay? And pricing, make no mistake, is part of marketing, okay? If you're priced at $1, let's just play along here. You're priced at $1. What does that say about your company, your brand, your messaging? It says you're garbage. It just says you're the cheapest of the cheap at $1, right? You don't go into a dollar store or a 99-cent store. It's kind of funny, right? You go into a dollar store today, I don't think anything in there is actually $1. So that always blows my mind. But anyway, you go in, if you price yourself at $1, you're signaling to the market that you are the cheapest of the cheap. If you price yourself at $1 million, right, you're signaling that you're the Ferrari of the industry. Okay, so just by pricing, I don't see any of your work, any of your product, just by pricing alone, that is part of your branding and your marketing. All right, so let's come back to this. 40% of all businesses fail in the first 2 years. 55% of all businesses fail in the first 5 years. That is a staggering number to think about, that as we risk everything to be an entrepreneur, or maybe some of you newbies, maybe you're still working that corporate job, right? And you want to punch out, you want to be a full-time photographer, you want to chase your dream, very much how we got started. This is now scaring the crap out of you, because you're going, holy cow, do I give up my salary job, my benefits, to chase my dream? Well, we did, right? So you rewind back in 2006, 2007, we punched out and to a full-time job at Microsoft, benefits, stock options, you name it, and I wanted to chase my dream. And so, but if you chase it blindly, right, you run the risk of failing. So always know what you're up against, right? As long as you understand the risk, I think you'll be fine whatever you decide to do. 71% of all businesses fail within 10 years. That would make you not want to go into business, just looking at those numbers right there, right? Understanding that, you know, people look at what we do and other successful entrepreneurs and they think, oh, you're lucky, you have a successful business, a successful studio. But yes, today it might be successful. But when I took that first step, look at what all of you who are on this call right now took it in the market conditions you took it in, knowing that 7 out of 10 of you won't be here in 10 years. That's a staggering number. And to understand how tough it is to be successful. And this isn't based on photography. This is based on any industry. This is businesses all over the U.S. The reason, though, this is the part that should be smacking you in the head. 46% are failing. So of all the businesses that do fail, half of them fail because of incompetence. That does not surprise me at all. When I look at our industry, and I love our industry, it's why we've created things like Shutter Magazine, and that's why we love to teach, because we want to help our industry. It does not surprise me at all that half of the businesses are failing because of incompetence, right? How do almost, not everyone, but a lot of us, even I got started this way. I got a camera, right? Maybe some of you were taking pictures of your kids, you were taking pictures of the high school sports, and somebody told you somewhere, they're like, oh, you're pretty good, you should be a professional photographer. And you're like, yeah, I am pretty good, I should be a professional photographer. And now you don't know how to run a business, right? And in every sense of the word, you are incompetent, right? It's not an insult, it's not a dig. It's understanding that just knowing how to use your camera does not make you an entrepreneur, right? That's like saying, I know how to use my hammer. Okay, I hung some picture frames downstairs. Therefore, I am now a contractor, and I'm going to be able to run a contracting business, right? Some of you on the line are probably laughing because it sounds so ridiculous for me to even think that way, but our industry is one of those industries where people are just like, well, I can do it. No, actually, you can't. You might do it, but you're going to go out of business very, very quickly. Specifically, the reasons they cited, this is what was amazing to me. This was not photography. Emotional pricing. Oh, my God. Have you ever met with photographers who were charging like $4, $5, $6, $7 for an 8x10? That makes no sense whatsoever. You cannot stay in business. And some people out there might try and convince you that, oh, by pricing an 8x10 at $4 or $5, that's what Walmart's charging. I can't charge more than that. How will I stay in business? Here's what you got to understand. Walmart can afford to charge $4 for an 8x10 or $2 actually, or whatever they're charging. Does everybody understand that that's a loss leader for Walmart, for Target, for all those box stores that are selling prints at that price? That's not where they're making their money. So all they're doing, their business model when it comes to their print labs, it's about bringing people in the store to buy the more profitable products.
Right.
Well, if you're selling your prints for $1, $2, $4, under $10, that's your loss leader. What are you selling to make money? What are you selling to be profitable? What are you selling to buy the new camera equipment you want, the new thing you want, the new car, you want to put your kid through college? What are you selling to have those profit margins? The question's nothing, because your business it's smoke and mirrors. And that's the part we have to understand. I don't compete with Walmart. I don't compete with Sam's Club. That's not what goes into pricing. Okay? Non-payment of taxes, business related. No knowledge of pricing, business related. Lack of planning, no knowledge of financing, no experience in record keeping. Guys, I want to make sure you understand, this is not a stat that is tied to photography, although it really sounds like it is. This is business across the board. Bakers, carpenters, any kind of business there is in the U.S., this is what this study encompassed. 50% of the reason these companies are going out of business has nothing to do with technical acumen. Meaning, it has nothing to do with your ability to use your camera, use your hammer, bake a cupcake. It has everything to do with understanding business 101. So if you want to be a successful entrepreneur, whether you're a 15-year vet or just getting started out of the gate, I highly encourage you to learn business basics. That's it. I'm not asking you to be a chief financial officer. I'm not asking you to be a mathematician. I'm asking you to understand how business works. So that being said, let's get going here. Overview again, marketing versus advertising. These are in fact different. They're not the same thing, they are the same thing, I'm sorry. Everybody looks at marketing and advertising, they treat them differently, but they are the same, part of the same discipline. Advertising is in fact part of your marketing. It's part of your messaging. It's typically the most expensive part of your marketing budget, and a lot of people lose sight of that. So pricing, as we said, is part of marketing. Advertising is what helps you get the word out. Okay, so that's why it's the most expensive piece. When you're running a magazine ad, when you're doing bridal shows, direct mail, those are advertising efforts, and they're all expensive, right? But pricing is part of marketing. Products you carry, your product offering, your customer service, these are all things that are part of marketing. Doing press releases, part of marketing. And so don't underestimate the importance of all this. And so this has to get the time and attention it deserves, or we will fail. If you do not invest in marketing and advertising your business, you will fail. Referrals, word of mouth, Facebook, only going to get you so far, only going to help you grow your business so far. And you have to keep that in mind as you're growing your business. Nate, have we gotten any questions so far, or I'll keep going?
No questions yet. Nope, we're doing good.
Okay. And guys, if you have questions about anything, just keep hitting Nate with them, and I'll pause whenever it makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So here are the different levels I kind of see, and these aren't scientific, they're not out there anywhere. It's just kind of based on my history, my experience. 2 years or less, you're really a newbie, right? So when it comes to marketing your business, there's typically no money, no budget for advertising, and really you have no clue what's going on. Your business has just either popped up because somebody told you you'd be a great photographer, popped up because you love photography and and you're chasing your dream, which is what I did. But ultimately, there's no budget. And if I kind of connect to my story, when I left Microsoft, I left and I had about $12,000 to $14,000 in the bank, and that was it. That was what was in my savings. Like most Americans, I was living at my means, and I punched out and I used all that money to buy equipment and do some basic marketing. But that was it. I really had no experience, even though I'm a business school graduate. I had no experience on what worked in this market, right? The kind of marketing and advertising that works when you're selling cupcakes isn't necessarily the kind of marketing and advertising that works when you're growing a photography studio. So from that perspective, I really had no experience, no clue what was going on. And we're going to talk in a little bit about, as a newbie, where I think you need to be focusing your attention. If you're that intermediate studio, I think you're in that 2 to 5 year range, right? You're starting to develop a following. Your sales are coming together. Pricing is starting to make a little bit more sense. You're working out all the kinks. You've got some budget. You're just not sure what to do with it in that 2 to 5 year mark, right? You should be becoming profitable at that point in time. I'm not saying profitable like we're going on cruises all the time. Just you should be turning a profit. 5 years or more, you either have budget, okay, and are cheap, right? So you start seeing these studios that hit the 5, 6, 7 year mark. You start thinking you got it all figured out. And once again, I don't mean that to insult anyone, right? I'm just trying to have real talk with you guys. I see this all the time. We do consulting, and we have studios from around the country come train with us for a week at a time. And recently I had a studio at their 10-year mark, and they came in and they were here for a week. Day 1 and day 2 was like peeling skin off your body. They would not let go of the past, right? So as we start looking towards, guys, I understand this worked 10 years ago. It doesn't work today. And they wouldn't let go. And so if you're in that 5, 6 or more mark, I know we said we had somebody on the call for 20-something years. If you're not letting go of what worked 5, 10, 15 years ago, then you're going to fail. You're going to struggle. You're going to lose market share. Recently talked to somebody. She told me she did 300 seniors a year.
Wow.
And then all of a sudden, she's down to less than 30. What did you do wrong in your business that you would lose 90% of your market? And those aren't embellished numbers. She came up to me in damn near tears at one of the seminars we were teaching at, and she's like, I don't know what to do. I don't know where to begin. And the problem is, from a perspective like that, it's basically a reboot. You're starting from square one again.
Right.
And I don't want to see it happen. When you're in business 5, 6, 7 years, you should never get to a point where you're starting from zero. That means you've been ignoring things for a very long time. And so either, like I said, you've got budget and have become cheap, or lost budget because of shrinking market share. This is another cry I hear from those established studios out there that are going, dude, these shoot and burners are killing me. I've had to lower my price. Well, once you start lowering your price, your overhead doesn't go away, right? I just moved into a brand new studio. The cost of this building doesn't go away in 5 years. I still got to keep paying for it. So my pricing can't go backwards because I've got all these newbies in the market. The next thing is you become stingy, right? There's no reason to spend. Everyone knows who we are. That has got to be just red flag, danger, danger, right? We will never get tired of letting people know who we are, because here's reality. Find another brand that operates that way. I'm always quick to look back into corporate America. Find me another brand that just, like Coca-Cola. Let's use Coca-Cola as an example. Is there really anybody who doesn't know the brand Coca-Cola? I really do doubt it. And you could probably go to most third world countries and they know Coca-Cola. How is that? Did Coca-Cola stop advertising 100 years ago and go, we got it figured out, everybody knows who the hell we are? No, right? They keep innovating. They keep coming out with new products, and they keep the branding and messaging out there going and going and going. Like their stupid polar bear commercial. I can't freaking take it, but they keep playing it. It obviously resonates to someone, but that's what keeps getting that messaging out for Coca-Cola. So we have to think like big businesses.
Right. Sal, I heard a similar story recently. Somebody was talking about the ad buyer for Mercedes, where he was being interviewed, and he said, "Look, I'm buying ads today for the 5-year-old little boy reading magazines today. I'm not running ads for the guy that's going to buy a Mercedes this year, because if I haven't gotten his attention 10 years ago, it's too late."
That's exactly right. And take that into when you're talking about portraits or high school seniors. When we're doing all this marketing and advertising, am I really going after that senior that's today, the class of 2014? Yeah, maybe a little bit, but I'm hoping that my marketing last year got the girls from the class of 2014 excited when I was advertising last year in 2012, when they were looking at the senior classmates who were going, "Where are you going for your pictures?" "Well, we're going south." We were looking to building excitement and awareness then, and maybe even into their freshman year as well. So that makes total sense, hearing that from Mercedes. And so a lot of times, Nate, you see companies that are reactive in their marketing efforts, and sometimes that's too late. By the time your phone stops ringing, it's probably too late. Now you're planning. Think about weddings. If I only had 10, this year we have over 35 weddings. If I'm at this point, and we'll probably trickle in a few more coming in now before end of year, those last minute events. But let's say at this point right now, I had like 10 weddings. Any marketing and advertising I'm doing is really for next year.
Yep.
It's for the bride getting married in 2014. I have very few requests coming in now for 2013. Almost everybody sending us emails is for next year. So definitely a great point. You got to consider that.
Yeah, I think I may be stealing this analogy, but I think you've used the one about it's like planting you're like planting your garden, right? And actually the cheapest marketing is the stuff that's long term, because you build a snowball that you can harvest later. Where you see these ridiculous impulsive like Groupon ads or LivingSocial ads. That's like you can just tell they're in panic mode, giving away the whole farm, and there's no way. Yeah, you can see an uptick in sales like instantly, and that feels good emotionally, but it's when you zoom out over the 5 years like run of your business, it's killing you, right?
Well, yeah, and we could go on a tangent on Groupon and LivingSocial. So I'm just going to say this about Groupon, LivingSocial. Not a fan. I feel like as photographers, we offer professional services, and until I start seeing doctors and lawyers offering their services on Groupon with success, there's no way you're going to see me do that with my business. Because first of all, from a marketing perspective, it does signal panic. I give up. I don't know what else to do. And it does signal to the market you are, in fact, a low-cost provider, right? Because you're never going to see Louis Vuitton, Mercedes-Benz running a Groupon special. So you've got to consider from a messaging perspective, a marketing perspective, what being on a site like that is going to do long-term to your business. And just really to drive the point home that it doesn't work, I'm not sure, it was in the last 6 months, both Groupon and LivingSocial have had to have massive layoffs and are filed for bankruptcy. Not 100% positive on the bankruptcy, but it was part of their going into bankruptcy where they had to have all these layoffs. The model doesn't work, right? So they've gouged the market, not just of photographers, but of everyone. They've gouged the market, and now people who own businesses realize I can't cut my prices by 50%, then give Groupon 50% of the number or 40% of the number. It really doesn't matter. And still stay in business. It's just impossible. The numbers don't work that way.
Right.
All right, so let's jump into the newbie. End of day, no one knows who you are. I mean, no one. You just started, right? Or having a couple of friends and family know who you are, it does not make a business. That's not how your business is going to grow. If your mindset in this 2-year or less mark is, oh, I'm going to have friends and family refer me and go like that, you get ready to not have a business, because that is not how you will grow your business. So mission number 1 is get the word out, right? So if you're in this mode, we have to let people know that we exist, that we're good, that we have great service, great product. How do we get that word out? Money is obviously tight or non-existent at this point, right? I mean, we're just starting out. I remember when I started out, I had no budget for really anything. So I had to get creative. right? We've got to get creative to get the word out. It's called sweat equity, right? So the one thing that drives me bonkers, and it's not only in our industry, it's almost like a generational thing. It's this entitlement, okay? When did entitlement replace hard work? Guys, get it through your head, man. Whether you're the 20-year studio or the 1-year studio, you are not entitled to run a successful photography business. That is not entitled. That is not given to you. It's not part of the Declaration of Independence. It's not something that's going to happen easily. You've got to work hard. You've got to invest in your business. I mean, look at the stage our business is in now. I think we're established. I think we run a profitable, growing business. I have been working 18 hours a day for the last 3 weeks. I'm not even exaggerating the number. 18 hours a day. I'm sitting at my desk from sunup to midnight every single day. Why? Because I want to hustle. It's my sweat equity. It's what I'm putting back into the business. Who knows what I'm making per hour? It doesn't matter. What matters is that my business is continuing to grow and be healthy. Well, as a newbie, that's the one thing you have, time, okay? You don't have money. You're not entitled to success. So what else you got going for you? It's your time, and you have to invest in that business, and that's what you're going to bring to the table, okay, is sweat equity. And that's going to come in the form of working for free. There's nothing wrong with working for free, doing free photo shoots to build your portfolio. When we were first starting out, we did tons of free photo sessions, one, to build our portfolio, build our experience. I mean, come on, guys, if you're starting weddings, we just did a workshop in Canada, and a couple of people in the Canadian group are like, I've never shot a wedding before. Okay, well, how are you going to learn? Right? You've got to learn from someone. You can't just show up at a wedding, one of the most important days of someone's life, and be like, hey, surprise, I'm here. Anybody know how to use this camera? Right? Anybody know how to pose? Anybody know how to direct? How do you learn that stuff? Well, you got to start working under somebody. You got to work for free. Okay? Don't be afraid to work on someone's bag where you're not even shooting. Right? You're just on the bag, learning, listening, observing. Press releases. This is something you could do tomorrow. Start issuing press releases about your business, and stop believing that the only time you issue a press release is when like some major event happens. If you win a local award or competition, submit a press release to the local paper. To this day, we still submit press releases to our local paper, and I will have people in the town cut the press release out of the paper, send me a handwritten card and say, congratulations on, you know, winning this award you won at so-and-so. They don't even know what the award is. They don't know what it signals, what it means. They just know that we got good press, and they want to celebrate that with me. That keeps the name of my business on the right tips of their tongue, and that's what you want to be doing. Charity booster clubs, right? So high schools are constantly have booster clubs where they're trying to raise money. Cancer awareness, all these charities that are out there are always trying to raise money. Well, why not donate a free photo session to them? Not free prints, free, like, we'll come to your house, do your laundry, like, just free photo sessions. Put a value to it. Put a value of $200 to it, so that now somebody who does buy that, you have an actual chance of getting a sale from that. That's it. When we started off, we were doing, no exaggeration, 20 to 30 charities a year. And by the third year, we just didn't need to do it anymore. But it was a great way. Any charity that was out there, we were contributing to in one form or fashion. One might have been a free session. One might be a free session plus a free 1114. Okay, and we would have a nice display set up at you know, where they would sign the raffles and all that stuff. That's a great way to get your business going and out there. Of course, models shooting their portfolio, build your portfolio. You want to do high school seniors? Go to Model Mayhem, go to any of the modeling sites, and find teen models that you can build your portfolio with. There's nothing wrong with that when you're starting out. Take your lumps on non-paying clients. Do you think your client wants to sit there while you fumble around with your off-camera flash for an hour and a half trying to figure out what the hell you're doing? No, but your model, maybe you're paying them $100 for the day. Maybe you're doing a swap, time for prints, right? You'll see this TFP, time for proofs. Maybe they're willing to work with you on that. So that's where you take your lumps. And of course, anything you do spend money on, right, up front, you're looking for measurable results. It's got to be measurable. Right? So if you're going to invest at this stage of the game, it's not just about brand awareness. It's about getting photo shoots booked, right? That's the one thing. You need that cash flow as a newbie coming in. So it's all about cash flow and measurable results. The sweat equity is what's going to help you get your name out there. That can be very cost effective. I'm imagining we got questions. So is it a good pause or should I keep going?
I think no questions coming in yet. What I want to add to this, I think one of the things I like to talk about, Sal, is when people going back to that sense of entitlement. When you're going out to build relationships in your area, you've got to make sure that you're starting with value. You're helping all of these people out. You're like for the press releases, you're helping them tell a story, right? And if you're focused just on getting people to talk about you, that's going to come across as arrogant and like you're just in it for yourself. But if you're seeking out people putting together a charity or a booster club, you've got something they're looking for. Don't sit around and wait for them to find you. Go out and find them, right? And start with, hey, start with the question, how can I help you? Not how can you help me?
Well, that's exactly right. And we'll talk more about that in the next part when we start building vendor relationships. The one thing I see happening when we're trying to build relationships is just that, Nate. Where people are going at these vendors, not realizing that, especially as a photographer, these vendors for weddings and florists and things like that are getting hammered over and over again with people just asking, hey, I want to be on your preferred vendor list. Well, guess what? You're one of like 70 people probably in the last 6 months that have asked to be on the preferred vendor list. So you're right. You have to go into this with the mindset of how can I help you? And if you go into it with how can I help you, it's much easier to see that return come back where you develop more of a sound relationship versus one of your hand being out. The hand being out to me is back to entitlement.
Exactly. Yep. All right. Lacey's asking. She's been told to choose one style of work. What's your recommendation on doing more than just weddings or just picking one niche to focus on?
Specialist versus generalist. Actually, a great question. So for those of you who don't know, I'll be on Creative Live later this week. I'm actually on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, and I got a whole segment on specialist versus generalist. So let's just kind of break it down quickly. There's a philosophy out there where, hey, I'm going to specialize on just weddings. I'm going to specialize on just seniors or families. And I'm not a big proponent of that, and let me tell you why. If you focus on just weddings, or just one niche, let's say, glamour or whatever the case may be, and there's a hiccup in the economy, there's a hiccup whatsoever in your business, you're done. All of a sudden, you can't grow your business. All of a sudden, you have no alternate revenue stream. And so what I like to do, I don't want to be broad, okay? I don't want anybody to believe that I'm suggesting, okay, we do everything. Because once you go too broad, you have a harder time charging more, right? So the specialist can definitely charge more for their products or services. The generalist, right, and I'll use the picture people as an example, you just go in there and it's a very cookie cutter, generalist approach. Whatever you put in front of their camera, they'll take a photograph of. There's no expertise there. They're going to have a difficult time charging more money. It's just like doctors and lawyers. The specialist attorney is typically charging much more per hour, the specialist doctor, than the general practitioner. Okay, so same concept there. Here's my philosophy. I want to focus on just more than one, right? Two seemingly unrelated genres. So for me, our main focus is weddings. Okay, that's what pays our bills. We can focus a year out. We can look at how many weddings we have booked and get a sense of what our averages are and what we're gonna make. But the minute there's a hiccup in weddings, let's say things slow down, I know I can go after high school seniors, which is seemingly unrelated, right? You're typically not a high school senior and getting married at the same time. Maybe in some places you are, but here, for the most part, you're not. And so I don't consider myself a specialist, but I'm definitely not a generalist. So find the balance in the two, and I think you'll have a successful business. You've got to have a plan B. If you just go, again, I can't stress it enough. If you just go after one and there's any problem in the economy, your business is going to really, really suffer. And we've been very fortunate that we've grown our business during the middle of a recession.
Yep.
All right, so let's.
I got one more question. I'm curious also. So there's the technique of partnering with other local vendors. Like let's say you're working with wedding planners or other venues and supplying them with high quality prints for their retail store for them to showcase. So I I know that tactic has been around for a while. What's your experience with it? And the question here is like, how do you stand out now that if you're in a competitive area, there's wedding planners with like a storage room full of prints, right? Like, what can you do to stand out even more when you're first starting?
Yeah. So, and I'll only go back to real world scenarios for us. When we were starting out, that was the biggest challenge for me, was getting the word out, getting us established, because year one, very naively, I would say, we went to all these planners and catering halls and whatever, and every single one of us, even one of them, even the ones I got meetings with, looked at us and said, "We've never heard of you before." Oh, and that was crushing, man, because some venues wouldn't even afford us a courtesy of returning a phone call. Then the ones we did get to sit down with, they were like, "It was very nice meeting you, but unfortunately, we don't feel comfortable referring you to our brides. Just no one's heard of you yet." And so it's kind of like, the giant middle finger to you. They at least gave you the time of day, but they're not going to be any help. And so it was at that moment in time, early on, I realized the power of getting our name out there was paramount over anything else. So we started doing some just toy shoots, baby shoots for toy stores, things like that, to get our names out. And then when we did photograph a wedding at a venue, we would produce a print. But here's what you can do to stand out. Don't just produce a print. Produce something that's completely different, showcases their venue in a completely different way. Maybe it's edited a different way, okay? But deliver it on something that's no one else is willing to deliver it on, i.e. canvas. So we did, I'm going back, man, like 3.5 years ago. And the reason I mention this is because they still have this print hanging. We did one for Chase Park Plaza here, and we produced a 15 by 30, so it was a very different looking canvas. We took a night shot on one of their balconies, something no one else had ever done. We put it on a 15 by 30, 2.5-inch thick, glossy canvas, and we hand delivered it. And they were so excited because they had never seen anything like that. Another one of my mantras, right? We got to get people to say, "I've never seen anything like that." They hung it up right in their sales room, and right on the bottom corner is our logo. To this day, we still book weddings from that image that was put up there 3 years ago, which kind of reminds me I probably need to update that for them with something a little more modern. But that's how you do it. Don't just deliver a print. Deliver a print that showcases the venue completely differently. Deliver a print that is more than just a print. Put it on a canvas. Yes, I know it's a lot more money, but they're more apt to hang it if you do something different like that. So hopefully that makes sense.
Totally. I know acrylics a big new thing too.
Right. Acrylics are, for me, that modern piece. Our clients, internal clients, right, my weddings, my seniors, are going bonkers for acrylics and metals right now. And so it's a new product. It's a different product. It looks and feels different. And so you've got to continue to adapt to the changing market conditions. Just because something was cool, matted albums were kind of cool 10, 15 years ago. And I'm not talking about the cool high-end matted albums. I'm talking about the ones where you slide in the pictures and they got the gold tips on the side, those bad boys, where after they're out in the heat long enough, the leather starts melting. Those are not cool anymore, right? So you can't offer those. And same kind of thing. We've got to continue to evolve.
Yeah.
So let me get on to that intermediate studio, right? And keep your questions coming in, guys. I'll pause after this as well. You're starting to get your legs under you now, right? You're in that 2 to 5 year mode. Money's coming in. You should be profitable, but here's the rub. Don't enjoy that money just yet, okay? I know you've been working long. I know you've been working hard. You're dying to have some money in your pocket, in your checking account. You've got to reinvest. This is how you grow. And by reinvest, I'm talking about expanding product lines, expanding your offerings. It's just like I said, just because you were offering, gold-tipped albums 5, 7 years ago, okay, however long ago it was, doesn't mean that's what we should be offering today. It's over, right? So you've got to look to reinvent, update your studio, update your portfolio, your product lines. If you're showing sample albums from 5 years ago, whoa, are you kidding me? I look at my work from 5 years ago, I'm horrified at what I see. We were doing something internally because we just moved into our new studio, and we had pictures from bridal shows of 5 years ago, and my staff was like making fun of me. They're like, "Oh, look at this! It's you took this." I'm like, give me a break, man. My style has changed over the last 5 years. So I wouldn't want clients seeing that. If my own staff is breaking chops on it, I definitely don't want my clients seeing work from 5 years ago. So you've got to update your website, your products, your prints, all those things have to be updated. And at this point, free just doesn't make sense anymore, okay? Because now you've got to, right, and by free, I'm talking about that sweat equity. There's always going to be a level of sweat equity to your business, but you've got to start managing it a little bit better now. So my first 2 years, I was hustling, man. I was doing a lot of free work. Some of it paid off, some of it didn't, but I was learning a lot in the interim, so that was worth it. But as I got to this 3 to 5 year mark, it doesn't make any sense anymore because I need that time to reinvest into my marketing, my advertising, networking, right? Making phone calls, you know, all the things that go into running a business. It made more sense for me to be focusing that time there. Paramount for you now is brand awareness, okay? You have got to understand that marketing at this stage of the game isn't always going to equal, okay, income, right? It doesn't work that way. It's called brand awareness. I've got to build brand awareness. I've got to be like Coca-Cola. My name has to be everywhere. And I'm not talking about everywhere from California to New York. I'm talking about everywhere within your local market. And that's the part you have to understand and be going after. I want to see you explore paid marketing and advertising. Okay, so where when you're that newbie, there is no budget to do it. Now you've got a little bit more. Newspapers, TV spots, direct mail, referral programs from clients, creating shooting events, right? What about calling October Family Portrait Month? What about calling July, which is hot here? Nobody wants to be outside doing pictures. You know, call it, you know, Refresh Headshot Month or whatever you want to do. Go after your local businesses and show them some bad headshots, show them some good headshots. And even if the tag isn't a time you refreshed your headshot or got a new headshot. I mean, there's doctors, lawyers. These are things that can be knocked out for 75 to 150 bucks in a 15-minute shoot, okay, with no real work whatsoever after the fact. And so these are the kind of things you've got to get creative to get your name out there, because guess what? That doctor who's getting a headshot, maybe he wants a family portrait. That doctor who comes in to get a headshot, maybe as a thank you, you send him a thank you card that says, hey, you know, Doc Jones, thanks for stopping by. We'd like to offer you and your family a free family session. Must be used by October 31st. Okay, so now you can try and generate new ways of bringing business in real time. So that becomes very, very tangible. Not only did you make money on the headshot, but that was pretty much free marketing, whatever the cost of the marketing piece was, to drive them into your studio that October. Let's talk about TV spots. Something we did early on here in St. Louis, there's something called Great Day St. Louis. It's a morning kind of like Good Day America, except it's a local show for St. Louis. And we got very lucky and got a guest TV appearance on there talking about photography. After that first appearance, we were back on 4 more times where the TV station was presenting us as local experts on photography. So during seniors, we went on talking about senior portrait photography. We had a camera crew follow us and kind of build this infomercial type commercial. And it wasn't presented as a commercial. It was presented as, right, we're here as experts on photography. During October, we talked about Family Portrait Month and how important it is to get family portraits done. And so these are the kind of things you can do, you know, and cost-wise, for me, I think it was less than $1,000. And so you've got to think about how much did I get the messaging out there about our brand by being on TV? And then how much did my client base look at me and say, man, this guy's an expert, he's on the news? That's all part of that brand awareness. Is that making sense?
It does. And I think what's sticking out for me, Sal, is you've got to be good at telling a story, right? Where there's the short-term marketing, which is like there's a referral bonus or there's a sale this week. But to get on TV, you got to help them tell a good story. So like do a feature on, we all hear horror stories of brides who blindly hire the rookie photographer who has no experience and butchers their wedding, right? Help that bride tell that story and do a segment on how to, like, top 3 questions to ask your wedding photographer before you hire them. No, that's
perfect. Right? That was one of the segments, right? Top 5 things to consider when hiring a wedding photographer. That was one of the segments. Cool. And that was perfect, right? We did that. We talked about turnaround time, things along those lines, right? To kind of get people to understand how important it was. So exactly right. You can't just go on there and be like, hey, look at me, I'm a photographer, you should hire me. You've got to go on there and start educating the community on why your craft is so unique or important, what you bring to the table, and then that will ultimately allow you to be that expert and tell a bigger story.
Right.
All right, let's go jump over to advanced. So now you're that established studio. Okay, the challenges are a little bit different now. So, you know, we're going into our, 6.5, 7 years. For me, marketing is a defensive play. I've got to protect my market share. I cannot rest now on my studio name and be like, everybody knows who we are here. I don't have to do any marketing, any advertising. If I adopt that strategy, I'm spelling doom for my business. I cannot do that. I have to understand that marketing is, in fact, a defensive play for my business. So those of you who are in that 5, 10, 15, 20-year mark, a lot of you who have watched market share erode, this is part of the problem. Who are you, right? Nobody wants to see you as my parents' photographer. If they start seeing you as their parents' photographer, you're done. Again, here locally, there's a studio here, been here over 20 years. I had somebody come to me for senior portraits, and she said to me, she goes, yeah, I was looking at, and I don't want to say the studio's name, I was looking at Studio XYZ. She's like, that's where I went for my senior pictures. She goes, they are literally still doing the same poses, same backdrops, same everything that they were doing when I was a senior. And she wants something different. That was from the mouth of a mom. And so I'm telling you, man, that kind of feedback, they didn't give to that studio, right? They're giving it to me. So I've got to realize that if I'm losing clients and my market's still not growing, I've got to at least assume that that feedback is not making its way to me. It's going to make its way to my competitors. And so you cannot stop marketing. Then there's marketing as an offensive play, right? So part of it's defense, you got to protect your market share, but part of it's offensive. We've got to maintain our status. We want to continue to be the 800-pound gorilla in our local market. We don't want to lose any of that market share. And so if we are the Mercedes-Benz or Louis Vuitton of photography in our local market, right, then I've got to make sure that next year, when all my competitors keep doing what I'm doing, that next year I'm continuing to innovate, continuing to do something different, which is allowing us to maintain that elite level status. And experience is going to tell you what has worked, right? So if you've done something and it's working, keep doing it. But that's the challenge, right? Being honest enough with yourself, or having people around you who are willing to be honest with you to tell you it's not working. Sometimes as artists, we can be very stubborn and thick-headed and set in our ways. And as we continue to grow our businesses, and I hope the newbies who are on the call aren't zoning out on this part of the conversation, because eventually you will be here. And you want to make sure you're not making these mistakes. But as you continue to grow, it is very important that your network, your team of people around you are honest with you about your website, about your messaging, about the way you dress. I mean, the way we dress is just as much a part of our messaging and branding as anything else is. And so this becomes very, very important, right? If you're one of those photographers walking around with white tube socks pulled up to your knees and white sandals walking around, I'm going to give you some advice. You need a wardrobe makeover, man, because that is not how a teenager dresses. It's not how that 20-something-year-old bride dresses. And while you may be comfortable, right, in those orthotic shoes, they're not necessarily going to resonate with the client you're going after. And again, I don't mean that to be mean. I'm not trying. I'm telling you this as a person who's now 43 years old. I'm not getting younger. I know that there's going to be a certain point in time where I run the risk of reminding my brides of their dad. And when that happens, that doesn't mean I'm any less of a photographer, but when that happens, that poses brand new challenges for me and my business, because my brides who are 20-something, they don't want to spend 10 hours with their dad. They want to spend 10 hours with somebody that they connect to, relate with. They can talk news. They can talk entertainment, right? And not be like, hey, did you see that show last night? Oh, no, I went to bed at 9 o'clock. We were super tired, right? That's not what they're looking for. So this is all part of your messaging, right? Don't get stale. You've got to upgrade your samples, your products, your style. Everything has to continue to evolve. And you can't be afraid to try new concepts or ideas. The truth is, if something didn't work 10 years ago, it's not to say it won't work today. So find a cost-effective way to engage in some of that. Go back and look at history on maybe something that did work or didn't work and give it another try, as long as it's cost-effective. But now you've got budget. So you can do some things here that the new photographer just can't do. How about sponsoring shows? So for example, this is something we just started in our local market, St. Louis Bride and Groom. They host one of the largest bridal shows in the St. Louis area. So they will typically have anywhere from 750 to 1,500 brides, just depends on the year, show up at their show. So they have something called an app. Also actually the only show in our area that has an app. So now the brides can come in, download the app, and they get a map of the facility. They can see where all the vendors are. They can check in. They can be social with it. Well, guess what? When that app launches, it says powered by Salvatore Cincotta Photography. Not only that, when you get to the bridal show, there's an app lounge. So we produce the video. So if you were on our Facebook site, you might have seen a picture of Taylor looking like that girl from the chewing gum commercial, Orbitz. That's what that was from. Taylor, we just produced a commercial for the app now. So it says, hey, welcome to the show. Let me take you through and show you how to use the app. More brand awareness, right? Because it opens up, hi, I'm Taylor Cincotta with Salvatore Cincotta Photography. Thank you for downloading the app. Let me show you how to use it, why it's important. And then when you get to the app lounge, throughout the lounge are white sofas, up lighting, kind of pipe and drape, and all our pictures are all over the app lounge, where everybody who's in the show, whether they stop by our booth or not, will be there. That's next level stuff. So now, yeah, there's 30, 40 other photographers there. We're the ones sponsoring the app and sponsoring the lounge. I think that is very, very powerful, and I know that new studio can't afford to do that. Work with the community, free headshots, local high school. What about sponsoring a photo class, okay, or helping these kids, inner city kids, or something like that, get into photography, teaching, giving back to the community. That's not going to cost you anything, but it gets your name out there, and it's something different. Gifts for clients. Every year, our top clients get gifts from us. Very nice gifts. It can be a bottle of wine. It can be a travel photo on a canvas or an art print. These are things now that we have to maintain our status with. Direct mail, stylized shoots. You'll hear more about this on Creative Live, but we just did a 1960s inspired Mad Men shoot. So we did a complete stylized shoot that we're going to promote the hell out of. Nobody else is doing anything like that. Not the 1960s, but a concept of a stylized shoot where we're just doing portfolio work and getting our clients excited about doing a stylized shoot. And at this stage of the game, never has your X factor been more important. What is the difference between you and the studio down the street? And it cannot be price. If you're that 10, 15-year studio and you're lowering your price, it is a signal to the market that you just give up. You're like, screw it, I don't know what else to do. I'm just going to lower my price to compete with all these shooting burners. And I'm telling you, get ready, because you're going backwards and you will eventually go out of business. It's that simple. And so this is tough love. I know sometimes we don't want to hear about this stuff, but I will not compete on price. My prices have never gone backwards. We are not lowering our prices. We are raising our prices. But instead what we're doing is we're not just blindly raising our prices. We're doing it by innovating, by offering things that no one else is offering. That's the only way you're going to have the ability to charge more. And I'm sorry, and Nate, let me fly through a couple of these slides and then I'll take questions. I want to be conscious. I'm sure we've got people on their lunch hour.
We're doing good.
We got to prioritize. Everyone wants our marketing money. How do we focus it? I want to see you looking for tangible results. This is important, but it's also about brand awareness, okay? So we've got to be getting our name out there. Everything can't just be, I advertised, I spent $1,000 advertising, I only booked one photo session. You may have only booked one photo session directly tied to that, but it's all about brand awareness as well. So look for balance here, okay? It can't just be black and white. Bridal shows, would you consider that to be tangible results or brand awareness? See, I would say it's both. Tangible are the brides I book at the show or within a few days after the show. Brand awareness, though, I might see a bride 3 different times at 3 different shows before she finally books me. And because she's seeing me everywhere and her bridesmaids know our name, that becomes brand awareness. And so today, even as an established studio, we continue to spend money on advertising. And again, just to reemphasize, in the beginning, we invested huge sweat equity. Some worked, some flopped, but it was a learning exercise. And when you're just starting out, that's the one thing you've got plenty of. It's time. Once we started getting established, it was an all-out blitz to ensure, right, our name was synonymous with quality work. So TV, print, bridal shows, events, it's all about being synonymous with quality, synonymous with elite. That's where you want your business to be going. And today, we have to build massive brand awareness to maintain that competitive advantage. Guys, I don't want you believing that over here in St. Louis area, or where we're located, that it's somehow not competitive. There's no photographers around. There are photographers everywhere, paying attention to everything we do. Every mistake we make is amplified. So I've got to continue to innovate my business to maintain that competitive advantage. And I'm doing that through products, service offerings, all those things that allow us to go to that next level. And again, I can't emphasize it enough, stand out from the crowd. One of those things is, of course, Sticky Albums, right? So thank the guys, thank Nate for sponsoring this call and bringing me on it to talk to you guys. But this is a product we absolutely use. It's that next level kind of product. And Nate wasn't lying. A year and a half ago, when he first showed this to me, I was like, how do I get my hands on this? This is amazing, because there's nothing else out there like it. It is totally social. And Nate, I'm going to let you talk about this a little bit. And I know you got a special for these guys, but it's totally social. The kids love it. Weddings love it. You can email it to them. And now on their actual iPhone or Android device, they have their top pictures, right? You're not going to post their entire, this is not a proofing site. You're going to post the top 25, 30, 45 pictures. And now, while they're on their honeymoon, if it's a wedding, boom, they got it. If it's a high school senior, maybe you send them 5 teasers, so the next day or a week later when they're in school, they're showing this to all their friends and mom sharing it with their family. This is that kind of stuff that's inexpensive. The price point for Sticky Albums is just almost comical. So if you're not using it or you haven't heard of Sticky Albums, I'm not quite sure where you've been, but this is a very cost-effective way to innovate, okay, and adapt new technology. So Nate, I know you were going to talk a little bit, so I'm going to let you go.
Thank you, Sal. I appreciate that intro. Yeah, I think that everybody just keep in mind it's a marketing tool first. And for whether you are just starting out, you're working part-time still in your day job, or you've been in the business for a while, your budget is absolutely important. But I think another thing to mention is that your time is incredibly valuable. And what we love hearing stories about how Sticky Albums is out there building brand awareness for you while you're out there working. And a couple of people have asked about bridal shows. Sal's talked about that too. I just going to post here a link in the question. I'll also do it in the chat. One of our members created this awesome bridal show coupon book. So check out this hustle that she went around to all of the different places, other people that were going to be at the bridal show, and had them give her a coupon. And now it was the perfect giveaway when she's at the bridal show to collect email addresses. So not only she's having good conversation, she's like, here, let me send you your own custom app with $500 in savings for other things in your wedding. And then she can walk away with a portfolio and contact information for this photographer. So
that's actually brilliant.
It's pretty cool. And I love
I'm stealing that idea.
I love it. So stay tuned on our list, guys. There's other webinars we've done where I walk through some more advanced topics, but to keep it simple, it's just about, like Sal said, you want each one of your customers to be walking away with their own custom app with like 10 images in it, because that's what they're going to, while they're waiting for their album, their prints is the perfect time to give it to them, because they're super excited to share. And this is going to let them do that and have those really powerful in-person conversations with their friends and family, giving you the best free commercial you could ever get.
That's awesome, dude. That is actually a really brilliant idea.
It's fun. So yeah, when I first started it, I thought that Sticky Albums was going to be just for high school seniors, and I've been blown away. It's huge. For those of you that are also doing glamour, it's probably our biggest niche, or boudoir. A lot of those clients are really excited to share, but they don't really want to share on Facebook. They want to share it over coffee with their close girlfriend, and it lets them do that. You can password protect it and just have more of an intimate conversation with somebody and talk about a meaningful recommendation or word of mouth referral, right? Likes and Twitter feeds and all that stuff, it's powerful, and you still want to focus on the social aspect of things. But I think that more and more as we get busier, it's those in-person, shoulder-to-shoulder conversations that really drives tangible referrals to your business. So, and I focus my pricing point. I believe that if Sticky Albums lets you get one customer, one new referral, I'm pretty sure you've paid for your annual membership.
Well, that's the part I love about the sticky interface. Is completely branded. So whenever they're showing people their images, it's a branded experience, and that to me is what makes it so compelling. I know you got two specials here for these guys. You want to tell them about it?
Yeah, it's use the code SAL and you'll save $55, and you can do that off of the annual membership, or we also added a lifetime membership for a lot of our photographers are renewing now for their second year, and they said, "Hey Nate, this is baked into our studio workflow now. How can we save some more money? Why don't you do a lifetime membership? Because I'm in it for the long haul." And so you can save on that as well.
Very, very cool.
And if you guys,
Nate,
go ahead.
If there's any questions, I will take them.
Talk more about, we have a number of questions come in about bridal shows. So share a specific example how you attack a bridal show, and actually focus on somebody who's just getting started. When the first time they're going to do one, what would you recommend for them?
Yeah, I definitely think it's changed over the years. The way we attack a bridal show today is completely different than the way we did 5 or 6 years ago. And so, when you're looking to go and do your bridal shows, whether it's your first or your 10th, it's once again having those impact shots in your booth, right? So you don't want small prints. Whatever you do, put big prints in your booth, right? We like to put 24 by 36 prints in our booth. Even if you have a single booth and can only put 5 or 6 large prints on easels in the booth and stack them high. That is the biggest thing, if you will, that you can do to really get your brand to stand out from the crowd. And be consistent with your messaging once again. So don't have a traditional picture of your bride and groom standing at the altar, right? That's not what's going to get today's bride. Today's bride is very much camera aware, fashion forward. Those are the brides you want because they're willing to spend money on the way they look, right? We want brides who enjoy the way they look. So you've got to show them something that's going to get them awe-inspired. So we will only put what I call impact shots in our booth. Those are the creative, architecturally based shots. Now, your photography style might not be the same as mine. That's totally okay. What I'm encouraging you to do is be consistent with the types of images. This is the biggest mistake I see photographers make at shows. They're trying to appeal a little bit to everybody in their booth. Don't do that.
Right.
Know exactly who your bride is and put up images that are going to appeal to your bride. I cannot appeal to 1,500 brides. I'm looking for a needle in a haystack. So that's the number one piece of advice I can give to people.
Yep. What about, and I harp on this one too, and I think that principle applies to your website, to your portfolio, and even to sticky albums. Our data shows that way more sticky albums are shared when there's less than 20 images. So for those of you that are insecure about you not having a big enough portfolio, when you're advertising, you want to leave them wanting more, right? So if you have your 10 very best images at a bridal show or on your website, I argue that that's plenty. You do not want to overwhelm people. Once you get past 10, now you're just giving them excuses to not like you, to find one image they don't like, and then boom, they're on to the next one. Whereas if they look at 10, they love all 10, they're like, oh my God, I want to see more of these. Then that's where you want your customer.
No, that's a great point.
Cool. Well, I think we've got most of the questions covered. Sal, I cannot thank you enough for your time today. Everybody, if you want more of this and then some, do tune in to Sal and Creative Live this week. It's never short of entertaining and also tons of stuff you can learn. So Sal, thank you so much, man. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Nate. Thanks, everybody. And I appreciate your time. Hopefully you got at least one thing out of all this, and good luck with your businesses.
All right. Cheers. Have a good day, everybody. Cheers.